What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to DiabloCast. It is Friday. Happy to be doing another live edition of DiabloCast. As always, of course, I am your host, Dennis Force 2 Hamlin. With me, Kevin Sixen Carlino. Kevin, how are you?
I'm not doing too bad. How you doing today, Dennis?
Not too shabby. Got a little bit of Diablo news this week. Got some new updates to share with the community, which is, of course, always nice. In addition to that, we've got some pretty exciting things coming up this weekend, namely the Video Game Awards, VGAs, on Spike TV, at which we'll actually be getting a sneak peek at the opening cinematic for Diablo III. That'll be exciting. We also have discussion of the Runestone change that recently came through, the Book of Cain, Simplified skill tooltips for all you dummies out there, an Artisan update, and Battle.net account balance. It's going to actually be coming around sometime very, very soon. The dummy thing was a joke. Calm down, guys. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the first thing of discussion, our first topic, which is going to be the upcoming cinematic reveal at the VGAs. Okay, so coming up, not too long, actually tomorrow, we'll be getting some pretty interesting visuals there. Kevin, why don't you let them know what we'll be seeing tomorrow?
I'm pretty pumped. I mean, it's the full opening cinematic of Diablo III. We talked about this a little bit last week. We got to see, I want to say, the first 30, 40, I don't know, maybe a minute, maybe the first minute of the cinematic at the press event back in the end of July. But I mean, we couldn't talk about it till August, so I guess everybody just refers to it as the August press event. Whatever. I mean, it's really nice. It starts out with like the little eagle from Diablo 1, if anybody remembers the Diablo 1 cinematic, and it's like cartoony, and then it kind of comes to life. I don't know. It's really hard to explain, but it's amazing. Like, you guys are gonna love it when you see it, and I'm really hoping. Well, I guess I'm assuming that they're gonna throw it up on their YouTube channel, and I mean Blizzard. I'm sure they'll throw it up on their YouTube channel and put a little news post about it on the Diablo 3 community site, like they do for the World of Warcraft cinematics during the football games and whatnot. So if for whatever reason you missed the Spike TV award or Video Game Awards on Spike, I'm sure you could just hop onto the community site and check it out.
Yeah, it'll certainly be available elsewhere. But again, if you want to catch it live, you'll want to watch the VGAs, which will be kicking off tomorrow. You can just actually head on over to spiketv.com to get some more information about that. But yeah, it's going to be awesome. Obviously, it's no real gameplay, but being able to look at the cinematics is pretty cool. Although it's gonna feel like a huge teaser, and we did actually talk about this in the past. What do you think about the likelihood of hearing a announcement tomorrow about the game's release? I mean, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I keep hearing, or I guess I don't hear. I see people talking about this all the time, and especially recently, just because of this little announcement. But I mean, I personally don't think we're going to hear anything. Like we were talking about last week, they don't really need to do this at the Video Game Awards in order to make it something big. I just feel like having it at the Video Game Awards will make people miss it. I mean, I guess people are going to be watching it just to check. Some people will watch it just to check out the Diablo 3 cinematic, but I feel like most of the people watching won't be like, oh my god, it's Diablo 3. Like, I've been waiting 10 years for that game. No, they're going to be like, oh, hey, I remember Diablo. I used to play that way back in the day. I didn't even know that there was a third one coming out. Like, I feel like that's what most people are going to be like. I don't know. I don't feel like they're going to have a release date just because they didn't tell us there's going to be a release date.
Sure, and I guess something to add to that, though, like going off your point, you're probably right that people aren't necessarily watching the VGAs for Diablo 3. I mean, there's so much else going on, but that also, opens up a new audience that, which could possibly be incentive to actually announce a release date then, because then maybe you get more people who wouldn't have otherwise known about it, being like, oh, okay, so Diablo 3 is coming out at such and such a date. You know what I mean?
I guess that's true.
But I mean, there's no. We'll find out tomorrow, I guess. So we'll know soon enough. But yeah, go ahead and take a look at the opening cinematics tomorrow at the VGAs over on Spike TV. All right, next up is going to be a discussion of the Runestone change. This is actually something that I'm pretty happy about, to be frank.
Yeah, me too.
Because I wasn't too thrilled with the way the Runestone system functioned prior, and we can talk about that for a moment. But we'll just read the quote straight from Bashiok in discussing the Runestone system, and what we knew was the essentially the unattuned Runestone system. That's what we knew prior. We had the ranks 1 through 7 runes, but they were unattuned, and out of the various rune types, Crimson, Indigo, such and so forth, you wouldn't know which one it is until you actually socketed into an item. Well, it looks like they have actually moved away from that. Bashok has stated, we actually moved away from the previously discussed unattuned system. We've been trying many different ideas out, but we're not quite comfortable enough with any of them yet to invite you in and see what you think. So they are working their way through different types of Runestone systems, aside from the one that we had, again, initially thought was going to be in place, which was the unattuned Runestone system. Now, Kevin, what are your initial thoughts on the fact that they've decided to scrap the unattuned Runestone system?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely happy about it. It was a pretty cool concept. I love the idea of having like random affixes roll on my runes, which definitely adds to the, hey, you know, we need to keep grinding for better gear aspect of Diablo, which, I mean, that's the whole, that's a lot of Diablo, right? Most of it is just about getting better gear. So, I mean, I definitely feel like that aspect of the system that they had implemented was definitely very Diablo-y, for lack of a better word. But at the same time, I really didn't like that the whole unattuned system.
I mean, there's so much. Like people are like, oh, but it's random. That's what Diablo is. The loot's random and the levels are random. But I mean, sure,
that's it's randomizing my skills. Like,
yeah,
I don't like that.
I think that's the point of contention, and that's the frustrating part. Now, the only thing to alleviate that, though, is that, you know, there is the notion that if this unattuned Runestone system actually went through and came in place, then what they would have likely also had with that it would be a way to unsocket those unattuned runes and,
right, which is something
and possibly even reset them, you know?
Right, which is what Jay had mentioned to us at the press event. Again, because you and I had both brought that up, and his response was, well, maybe we have the Mystic or the Jeweler have an ability to, you know, wipe runes clean. But again, that just kind of adds more. I don't know. I just feel like if they left it as is, it would have been fine. They might be stretching for no reason. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I mean, I read a lot of complaints, people stating basically that, well, then what do you expect people to do long term? I don't think people realize the scope of getting a level 7 rune. Like, this is supposed to take a long ass time. This is not supposed to be any easy task. Getting those higher end runes, just even getting a level 7 rune is supposed to. It's nothing that's likely going to happen within the first couple of months, as far as I'm aware. Basically, the way they structured the system.
Well, yeah, and actually we talked about this with Jay at BlizzCon, and he had said that because of that, they made level 7 runes much easier to come by, much more common because of this new system. So I'm kind of curious as to what they're doing. Now that they're taking out the unattuned system, I wonder if they're reverting, you know, the drop rate of level 7 runes back to what it was prior.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing, I'm assuming that the kind of the drop rate thing is the last thing that they decide to put in. You know, they'll look at whatever system, be it the gear, the individual gear drops, or specifically at the Runestone system. I'm assuming them figuring out the drop rate will be the last thing they do. They want to solidify the system itself before.
Right, and you know what? I think if they I would be fine if they if they still kept the unattuned rune system. If they just had unattuned runes drop with random affixes, because I like that affix. You know, I like that aspect of the system.
Yeah. And
then instead of having it randomly attuned, why don't they just allow us to pick what kind of rune we want? So boom, you know, a gray unattuned rune that has plus, you know, 8 critical or plus 8 precision and plus 50% crit chance. Okay, now let's say I want to put that in electrocute and I want to make it a crimson rune. So I just select crimson and boom, now I've got a crimson rune with precision and crit chance in my electrocute skill. I'm like, I don't have a problem. You know, so and again, that would fix the whole randomly attuned rune problem that I had with that system. I mean, I feel like that was the only issue, because at the same time, now let's say I find another rune with a better affix, or, you know, maybe better stats on that particular affix. Now I can just swap them, right?
Right.
And then I can put my rune up on the auction house, or I can trade it to somebody else, or give it to a friend, or whatever. I mean, I would be okay with that. With that, I mean, so I'm basically just reiterating, yes, I like affixes. No, I don't like the fact that it's randomly attuned to, you know, whatever kind of rune for the skill I'm trying to get.
Something else, too, that we could mention, I'd be interested to see if they decided to scrap the notion that when a rune is socketed into a skill, it stays there for good.
That's true too.
Initially in the Runestone system, I would have a Crimson Rune, and I could put it into ability to get what variation of that spell that I wanted. And then if I pulled that Crimson Rune out, it would just be a Crimson Rune, and I could put it into another ability. But then they made the change that whenever you socket this, it randomly selects the rune type, Crimson, Indigo, or whichever. And then not only that, but it also stays that rune type for that spell type. So it kind of locked you in, into an even more permanent position. So I would be interested to see if they got rid of that as well, and if they're going to kind of maybe go all the way back to what we knew of the Runestone system in the early summer of this year, which was, hey, there's just Crimson Runes and Indigo Runes and Alabaster Runes, and you just put them wherever you want, and they get to do various things. So
Yeah. I mean, I definitely understand the problems that they had with that system, and that was kind of, although I don't really consider it a problem, I kind of consider it a good thing, because, I mean, from what I remember, they were saying with that system, people weren't really grinding as much. You found your level 7 rune, and then you popped it in, and then that was that. You didn't have to worry about it anymore. Well, I kind of think that's a good thing. My skills are set. I don't have to worry about getting any more. I'm good to go. So, I don't know, I feel like if they left affixes in there, it would still make people want to keep searching for better runes, but at the same time, they'd be able to have their skills set.
Yeah. Yeah, that could definitely work. We'll have to see what they decide to do. Something else that I find interesting, too, is I remember when they first introduced the unattuned Runestone system, they also said one of the primary factors behind them doing it was they were having issues with the tooltips, specifically displaying, when you hovered over a spell, there'd be this whole list of all the 5 different rune types and what that did and how that altered the spell. And they said because that seemed cumbersome, they decided to try an unattuned rune system. And I remember initially having this conversation with you, and I believe Cyber Dragon even. And we said, that's kind of stupid. Like, they can't figure out a way to display this easier, and so they're going to scrap the whole system. It's pretty interesting. We'll have to see.
And actually, on that note, I think that brings us right into our next topic.
Sure, yeah. Let's go ahead and just skip around, Kevin. Let's do whatever.
It flows. Why kill the flow, right?
We will go next. We will skip the Book of Cain, and we'll come back to it. And we will next go into Simplified Skill Tooltips, which was, as Kevin said, actually something that recently came up for us. Guess what's happening, guys? We need things simpler. That's right, and that's actually the name of this podcast: Simple Games for Simple Games for Simple Gamers. What's happening is the tooltip system in game. They found it a little too numbery. There's too much focus on the kind of the behind the scenes numerics of the system, and they just want you to read a spell and be like, this is bash. You hit things hard with it, it gets knocked back. And I feel like they haven't given out any specifics, but I feel like based on what Bashock stated here in this blue post, it seems as if they are literally going to be that simple. Like they want to completely take numbers out of the tooltip thing and just be like, this is teleport. You move from point A to point B. This is whirlwind. You spin around and hit things. Like I feel like they're completely removing numbers. This is interesting. And just by your tone, it seems like you're not that thrilled by it.
Yeah, I mean, right. So it's like, okay, I'm a veteran Diablo player. I played both Diablo 1 and Diablo 2, and it's like, okay, let's say I play the Barbarian. Okay, boom, I've got Bash. Hit things in the face. Well, okay, no shit. Like, I know that's what it does. What kind of damage is it going to let me do? Like, how am I supposed to set up a crazy build without knowing what exactly everything does?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm going to know literally what everything does. Like, cleave. You can hit several monsters at once. Well, great. How much damage do I do to all of them? Like, why would I pick cleave over bash if bash is going to do more damage to one target than cleave would do to all three?
Yeah, I want to read these first couple of paragraphs. Just I know some people hate reading, so let me just do this for people. So what Bashock stated, and I'll leave this up if people want to read along, is in an upcoming beta update, you're likely to see what we've been working to simplify skill tooltips. This has been in the planning for a long time, and we're finally making passes at all skills. We're doing this now, for one thing, to try to be more consistent with how we're presenting skill tooltips and their effects, but also to make it easier to understand. And then he goes on to state that he understands that there's a lot of people who want to see the numbers and the numerical side of things. And their plan for that is to actually have something like Diablo 2's Ariat Summit, the website that allowed you to kind of see, allowing you to see the in-depth and behind-the-scenes numbers for things. They want to implement something like that on their current site for Diablo 3. But in-game, it doesn't seem like those numbers are going to be visible for us. He then goes on to say people have suggested doing things like what World of Warcraft does. And what they do in the game is you have a choice. Basically, you can go into your game options and decide, okay, I want extended or simplified tooltips. So the simplified tooltips are as basic as it gets. Teleport, your wizard jumps forward, or you can see the exact distance, the amount of mana costs, everything like that. But that, as of now, isn't going to be something they're doing with Diablo 3. They're considering it, but at the moment, that's not the case. And it's interesting. Is it just kind of development time, do you think, that they're not trying to have the option, literally a checkbox that says, do you want simplified tooltips or do you want the in-depth ones?
Well, I mean, towards the end of that paragraph, he actually goes in to say that, I mean, if they did do something like that between normal and simplified, then their normal version would be this new setup that they're doing, and then they'd have an even more simple version than that. So
why does that have to be the case? That doesn't.
I don't know.
I mean, their goal with Diablo is basically like they've said, your grandma can play the game. You get the game and you just want to be able to literally read what the skill does at the most basic level. They don't want numbers they don't even want you thinking about numbers. You do not have to be good at math to play Diablo 3. I mean, that's literally it's what it seems like. They don't. It seems as if they don't want us to have to compare spells, and they on a efficiency level, and they prefer us to look at spells and just use spells that we want. I think that their fear is that if there are numbers attached to a tooltip, people will try to spend the time in game and mentally figure out, all right, as of this point in time, which one of these abilities is most efficient for me for, how much of a resource I'm spending and how much damage it does in return. I just think I think that's the thing.
Yeah, but why would they not want people to do that? You have people that want to spend time playing Diablo. Why is that a bad thing?
No, it's not. But it seems like it just counteracts their design philosophy, and this is what I'm assuming their thought process is in simplifying the tooltip, is that they don't want me looking at this and being like, okay, well, Frenzy does less damage, but it also attacks faster after it stacks, and Bash does more damage and knocks back, and it does X damage, and this does X damage. Okay, which one's better? They want me as a player to be like, do I want to hit really fast or do I want to hit hard and knock back?
Right, so instead of looking at the mathematics behind it, instead we're just seeing, okay, this is what it... I mean, it all depends on exactly what it says. Because, I mean... I don't know, if they literally have absolutely no numbers, then all it's going to do is force people to not be in the game, to force them to be on Google, searching for this information.
Right.
Or on the new community site, if they set this up on the community site like the Ariat Summit, then it's just going to force me to be out of game on the community site, which, I mean, I don't mind spending time on the website, but I want to be in game playing the game,
Yeah.
I don't have to be alt-tabbing back and forth to say, okay, well, I just hit level 24, like, how many skills am I going to have to change up? Because I can't read the tooltips in the game. Like, I don't know. I feel like that just doesn't make sense to me.
And just to clarify for people who maybe aren't familiar with Diablo 2, this is basically the system that they had in place, and this is what they're talking about, a more in-depth numerical system when it comes to your skills and abilities on their website, on their community site. It would look very much like this. You could see the abilities, you could see the various levels, and the increase in damage, percentage, attack, everything, whatever is directly attributed to that specific ability. So they'd have something like this for Diablo 3, but in-game it would be as basic as is humanly possible with again, I'm assuming just no numbers attached.
See, now, I don't mean to cut you off.
No.
But, see, Bioshock refers to Diablo 2, and in Diablo 2 they did have numbers. Like, I mean, now, granted, they were very limited.
Well, I mean, I just think he was referring to this online ability for... Because it wasn't this in-depth in the game. Like, this is more in-depth in the game.
It said, it basically just showed mana cost this much per cast, and then this much damage, and then this is what it does. So, I mean... it all depends. Now, if they do something like that, because as of right now, each skill doesn't show us exactly how much damage we do. It says, okay, you do this much percentage of your weapon damage over this many swings, or whatever. So maybe instead of showing percentages, they just show our exact number damage. So instead of, let's say, what is it, Bash? I don't even remember. I'm not a huge barbarian, so whatever. What is it? Does 150 weapon damage or what? Something along those lines?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so maybe instead of just saying that, well, now they say, okay, Bash does 10 to 24 damage, and I mean that's it. Like, I mean, now that I guess I would be happy with, as long as there was an Ariat Summit type thing on their community site that did show the progression per level, and that way people like me and you could still get this information officially instead of having to rely on data mined websites and whatever. So I mean, but again, this all depends on what they do. I mean, if they have absolutely no numbers, I feel like that's just going to be ridiculous, because how am I, like, if I want to use Meteor, how am I supposed to know that Meteor is going to take up half my arcane power? How am I supposed to know it's going to take up half my resource?
Well, I'm assuming if everything, what they'll be removing is the damage numbers, because the only reason it makes sense to simplify things is to get the player to not think about efficiency of an ability. Like,
okay, but at that point, it's like, okay, so Meteor is taking up half my resource, and Electrocute doesn't, so why would I not use Electrocute instead? Like, I can use Electrocute more times faster than Meteor.
They'll probably say, like, this spell is hard-hitting, this one is mildly hitting, or something along those lines.
And again, I feel like they're just stretching for no reason. I mean, I'm sure that they have their reasons, and I definitely like that they're changing up the tooltips. I mean, right at the beginning, he says that they're trying to make everything more consistent. I like that. Consistency, that's definitely a great thing. Easier to understand, you know what? I'm even okay with that. But, I don't know, I feel like if they start removing everything, then it's like, well, what? I'm going to have to spend time outside of the game, which is not what you want me to do. Like, I understand that they want it to be easy to learn, but hard to master, right?
Yeah.
They've said that numerous times, like, I like that. But I didn't think hard to master meant not playing the game.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
mean, again, it's just, through various decisions, it's been obvious that their goal is to target the casual audience and to make it, very simplistic to pick up and play right away. And I think he also stated in the Blue Post that basically they want you to just use whatever abilities that you like, and not until at least after normal feel the need to actually kind of go more in depth. So I think that the idea is, people will play through normal, and then after that point, if you're really into the game, which obviously anyone listening to DiabloCast is, then you'll spend the time and effort to get more concerned with the min-maxing efficiency type of things. So
yeah, but I mean, it's a video game. It's an RPG. Like, as a witch doctor, I love using fire bats, but I can't just spam it like it's cake or water, or cake and water. Like, I mean, there comes to a point where I'm out of mana, so I need to know what that mana cost is. I need to know how much damage that is, because Fire Bath is cool and all, but if I can only use it for 2 seconds, whereas I could be using Poison Dart for 15 seconds, like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll find out soon enough, because they are going to be adding this to the patch, and when we do, we'll probably talk on it more. So
yeah, keep in mind, this is kind of just Dennis and I kind of speculating and guessing. I mean, we don't exactly know what's going to happen. We're just kind of basing all this off of the Blue Post. So if we're completely wrong and I end up looking like an idiot for complaining about this, then this is our disclaimer for that.
We should just put that disclaimer on all the DiabloCast.
Yeah, so from here on out.
Well, I mean, shit, there's stuff like this. A lot of it is kind of conjecture, so it just is what it is. All right, well, then that's enough talking about tooltips, and let's move on to the Book of Cain. I'm sure most of you know that this is coming up. It should be available actually really soon, right?
Yep, I believe actually a week from yesterday. I think it's 13th. Sorry, a week from Tuesday. So we got a couple days.
So sometime next week, you'll be able to get the Book of Cain, and review copies have gone out to people such as myself, and I made a little video. Interesting enough, made a little video about it. I had a good time doing that, but the main point is that there's actually a lot of there's a lot of review stuff up already. You can take a look through various sites if you're interested in the Book of Cain to find out more about it. It's kind of like an encyclopedia for for Sanctuary.
Diablo.
I mean, it's through the eyes of Deckard Cain, and he talks about. He essentially talks about everything he knows about Diablo and the primevals and heaven and hell, Imperius and Tyrael and all them, and it's pretty cool. It's interesting. It's directly. It feels like an in-game item. In fact, something I noted. Remember the Black Soulstone cinematic
Yes.
that we saw at BlizzCon? Well, when I went back over that, I saw her flipping through the pages, and I think she's looking at the Book of Cain in that.
Yes, she is, actually.
Because I remember looking at some of the pages, I'm like, that looks identical to what I'm seeing directly in front of me. So,
yeah, I saw a couple of sites did interviews with Mickey Nielsen, Diablo fans, D3DB. I think BlizzPlanet did one also. And that was one of the things I caught. I think it was Diablo fans that asked Mickey whether or not you'll be able to get the Book of Cain in-game, and what he had said was something along the lines of, well, you won't be able to actually obtain it, but you can see it in the cinematics, and actually that was one of the few that he had mentioned, the Black Soulstone, where she is actually sitting there flipping through it.
Right.
So yeah.
Pretty awesome. I was there, actually, in that cinematic. That's where I recorded my video. So, no, it's cool. I really liked it. I've spent some time reading through it. It's about 145 pages, lots and lots of text, and some really nice artwork in it too. So if you're interested in Diablo lore, this is definitely something I'd suggest checking out. And what you can actually do to support the creators directly, head on over to insighteditions.com. And I'll actually go ahead and show that up right here. This is kind of the site where it's being published from, and this is where it'd be preferable for you to get it. I know you can get it on Amazon too as well, but you can add it to cart here. Once again, that's Insight Editions, and yeah, awesome. Book of Cain, some more lore stuff for you lore fanatics. You like lore, don't you?
Yeah, I love lore.
Yeah, that's cool.
So much fun. And like I was saying last week, I mean, it's awesome to just read about the stuff that I enjoy doing. I'm in game, I'm hacking and slashing away. I talk to Deckard Cain, and well, boom, I turn to my right, and hey, I've got his book, his journal just sitting next to me. I could read the hell out of it and just enjoy myself.
I doubt that'll happen though. I'm pretty sure when you have the game, you'll actually be playing it. Let me take a break to read this book.
Yeah, I guess it'll definitely be like a, what do they call, I'll definitely read it when I'm taking a dump, that's for sure.
That's great, Kevin. Thanks. All right, so pretty big news next, too, is a new update for the Artisans. Awesome, really awesome. In fact, the official community site did update their game guide with Artisan in-depth discussion, I suppose you'd call it, or basically the guide is fully up and running. We can take a look at the recipes for the various artisans as well as their progression. So this is, it was funny because before we started this, I asked Kevin if we already talked about this. I felt like we just talked about this, but no, this did come out this week. It was actually the follower page that was updated prior to that.
Oh, yeah.
That we mentioned not too long ago. And this is kind of the same. It gives you a basic overview, and you get some pictures with it as well and key features. And they run us through all of the artisans, of course, the blacksmith, the jeweler, and the mystic. And we actually now finally have full confirmation that the jeweler will be combining and removing gems as well as adding sockets, and the mystic, as of now, is just enhancing items. Depending on where the Runestone system goes, we may see her affiliated with that somehow, some way, whether it be getting rid of runes or resetting runes if they end up going back to the unattuned system, for the fourth time.
Yeah, right. Or even more than that.
And yeah, I really like this, specifically the recipes and progression page. So if you haven't checked this out, you just need to go to Diablo3.com, click on the game guide, and go to Artisans. But if you want to waste some time here, just kind of salivating over the gear you could possibly have in the future, head on over to the recipes or progression for any of the artisans, blacksmith, jeweler, or mystic. I mean, taking a look, you just go all the way down. Always want to check the top of the top. You go all the way down to Inferno and Exalted and just look at some of this gear. It's pretty absurd. It's really awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like that they have this here. Again, this is, I mean, like we were talking about before, if they have the damage and all that kind of information, like the area summit right here on the community side, I would definitely be happy about it. I mean, obviously, this is not exactly something that we might have to look up in game. Maybe we're sitting at work, or actually for you and I, just sitting at home. Then maybe, hey, I'm bored and I will look up some Diablo stuff. Well, now it's all right here on the Diablo site, which is definitely awesome. I mean, I like having it right, fingertip, one click away. Like, that's definitely great. Nobody has to worry about data mining all this information. I like that Blizzard's just applying it right off the bat. I mean, I'm excited. And actually, for the most part, it looks like their game guide is almost done. I mean,
Yeah.
they kind of just have to fill out what's in the world, which I feel like we probably won't see until the game is released. Obviously, because I'm sure there'll be spoilers there. I'm assuming they give us the bestiary, the environments or whatever, just like what was on the previous Diablo 3 community site. But otherwise, pretty sweet stuff. Like skill calculator for the classes and followers. I mean, now this Artisan stuff is up where we can see all the recipes and their progression. I mean, I'm definitely excited.
There's some ridiculous stuff. It is unbelievable.
Yeah,
this is really awesome. Yeah, I think something that's interesting about this, though, is that it kind of does nothing more than kind of let you daydream, because, I mean, drops are random. You can know what's out there. That does not mean that you have a snowball's chance in hell of ever getting it, because unless you're scouring the auction house and dropping some cash, just because you know an item exists doesn't mean you actually are ever going to get it. And just to put this in reference again, because I know that there are listeners and people who are excited for Diablo 3 who aren't familiar with the Diablo series, there are literally items so rare in the game it could take you years before you ever see one. Literally years of playing, like every single day. So, but anyways, yeah, I mean, to be able to see what is out there is awesome. So,
and hey, I actually just saw this right now. I'm glad that they showed this. They have the total upgrade cost for the level, like the cumulative total, or actually they have both the cumulative total and the total upgrade cost. So
I see that, yeah.
The blacksmiths from level 1 to 2, it costs 400 gold. Although I guess they don't show the actual materials and tomes that's cost. That kind of sucks. But
upper right.
Well, I mean, yeah, they have it per experience level or whatever. But I mean, if you look at the very bottom, right by the chat gem.
Total, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm actually glad that they have that there. I was trying to add it all up myself, and I ended up forgetting. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that's there. I don't know. I mean, just lots of cool stuff. I'm glad that they're taking the initiative. I mean, it definitely kind of sucks for fan sites because now they don't have to. They don't have that chance to do this stuff.
You see, I was gonna say. I mean, this is great for the casual player who never seeks out things like fan sites, but for fan site runners specifically, people who are part of the fan site network, this used to be a big part of what fan sites had for exclusive material, because usually the companies wouldn't have these huge databases of information, but now Blizzard has it right on their community site, and honestly, I kind of like it.
I mean, so do I.
It's nice. But
yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, other than that, yeah, it's definitely awesome. I love it.
All right, cool. And then lastly, for major topic discussions, the Battle.net account balance, just hot off the press, fresh off the press, however you want to say it, announced that they're going to be adding the Battle.net account balance very shortly. Run a quick little paragraph here. I'll read it off for you guys. Soon, we'll be introducing a new feature called Battle.net Balance that will give players an alternative way of purchasing Blizzard products and services directly through their Battle.net account. Players will be able to charge up their Battle.net balance using a variety of payment methods, and then use their Battle.net balance to buy services like World of Warcraft character transfers, digital products like pets and mounts, and more. Players will also be able to use their Battle.net account balance to buy items and store their earnings from Diablo 3's currency-based auction house once the game is released. Now, that's obviously a thing directly tying into what we're here to talk about, and that's the fact that they're going to be launching this now before the game comes out. So if you want to throw a couple hundred, this is a great Christmas present. Ask your friends, family, girlfriends, parents,
girlfriends,
whatever. Ask whoever to buy you a card and a little. They're probably going to give little prepaid cards for your Battle.net balance and fill it up for once Diablo 3 comes out. And you can buy all the best gear. No, it's pretty. I mean, this is basically the Blizzard as a whole company is moving towards this, and we've talked about it in the past. Titan is likely to incorporate something when it comes to the Battle.net account balance. I don't know if it's going to be straight up like an auction house system like we see for D3, but there is going to be some method of utilizing the Battle.net account balance system, and I feel like from this point forward that this is going to be what Blizzard games entail. Even like things like StarCraft, there's going to be the option to buy like maps and stuff.
Map Marketplace,
exactly,
I'm sure that they're going to be using this, yeah.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I don't know. I remember years and years ago, before World of Warcraft or StarCraft 2, all we had was Battle.net 1.0, and we had these whatever namespaces. So you shared one legacy account. So like I was Sixen, on Diablo 2 and StarCraft 1 and Warcraft 2, and then Warcraft 3 had a totally different account system. So you'd be Sixen at Lordaeron or Azeroth, whatever. And I remember helping out in tech support back in the day and just talking about this once we kind of gotten word of this, about how they're going to have like one Battle.net system, that kind of rules them all. Like, wow, we're going to be able to like link our accounts together and we're going to have one account for everything. Like that was crazy. Like, it's such an awesome idea. And I mean, here we are so many years later. What is it? I think that came out in 06, 07, something along those lines, and that was when they first introduced it. And I mean, here we are 5 years later, and now they kind of have this moving in the right direction. So I mean, it kind of seems like, yes, they definitely look into the future. Like, they definitely have plans. I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that they're going in this direction. One account, now I can use my Battle.net balance to sell, I can sell items in Diablo 3 and buy WoW time, or maybe buy StarCraft 2 maps, because I'm sure that they're going to be using this Battle.net balance. I don't see why they wouldn't. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that everything is tied together. I mean, it was such a pain in the ass back in the day. Mm. History lesson. I just had to throw that out there.
Yeah, it's it's interesting. I don't know. This is definitely showcasing though the way the industry is moving in general. More to the point, the fact that there's going to be so many microtransactions focused on games from this point forward. There's really no question about that now. I mean, now that they've got a Battle.net account balance that is basically covering all of Blizzard's franchises, you can most certainly expect that they're going to utilize this from games at this point in the future. And there's no way they won't. It wouldn't make any sense for them to not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're setting up all this infrastructure and all of these things, getting everybody on kind of one currency, one Blizzard currency, to cover all of their games, to pay for subscription times or to pay for transactions in the auction house and everything like that. And that's this is how it's going to be. So hopefully you're not upset with microtransactions or you take issue with them, because they're going to be around. And I don't see them going anywhere, ever. So.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm thinking about it a little bit more and how it could potentially apply to StarCraft 2. They have not World of Warcraft. They have Warcraft 3 tournaments on, I think, even a daily basis is what it is over Battle.net. I mean, they could potentially just run that same tournament system on a daily basis and have the reward be Battle.net balance points. So you win your Battle.net balance, and now you can go buy WoW time, or you can go buy Diablo 3 items, or you can buy StarCraft 2 maps whenever they announce that system officially. I mean, there's so much potential with this system now, especially now that everything is tied together. I mean, again, who knows? Maybe Titan. Okay, you win a StarCraft 2 tournament, well, now you can go spend it in Titan. Right. So I mean, it's just so much potential with this, so much.
Yeah, and that would be cool to see, actually, because having those more frequent online Blizzard sanctioned tournaments with a reward of Blizzard, money, essentially. I think that would be really awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, not only does that kind of support the esports scene, but it's a self-fulfilling prophecy for Blizzard, because it supports their own franchises. Right, exactly. You know what I mean?
It's like, what do they recursive traffic is what they call it. Yeah. Because they feed themselves and it just keeps going back and back and back.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go. So we're going to be tied into Blizzard games forever now. In fact, close your bank accounts. Just throw everything in your Battle.net account balance.
There you go.
All right, very cool. So do keep in mind that will be coming out in the not too distant future. So again, this isn't just tied to the Diablo III auction house, as mentioned. Things for WoW Marketplace, Map Marketplace for StarCraft 2, things in their store as well. I'm pretty sure I would imagine you'd be able to purchase like apparel and stuff.
Yes.
So
yep, it goes towards anything in the Blizzard store.
Exactly,
so whether it be digital downloads of the legacy games or WoW game cards or whatever, but yes, anything in the Blizzard store.
Right. All right. Well, then, now we're going to go to questions. We've got a bunch, actually, on the Facebook page, and I'm already excited for the first one that we have. Do you need a link, Kevin, or do you have that?
Up right now. I always forget.
All right, it's fine. You'll be fine. All right, so first and foremost, question here from Georgios. I'm really bad at pronouncing names. I apologize. Do you think Blizzard will ever make an attempt at a realistic game graphics? They definitely have the artistic ability to do so, given their amazing cutscenes. Yeah, they obviously, I mean, you can tell by the cutscenes in their games that they have the talent, but do they have the desire to go for more realistic? I would say the answer to that is no, not if it sacrifices the ability to play across a wide variety of system. I think that they push the graphics artistically and visually as much as they can to cover as wide of a range of computers and personal capabilities of individuals as possible. And I think that they will. I doubt that they will ever go the route of Crysis, who can only be played on like a small percentage of the PC gaming population, but have these amazing graphics. They're definitely much more for the mass appeal and the capability of being able to be played by many individuals, even if you have a PC that's 4, 5, 6 years old, which by most standards could never play up to date games. But Blizzard Games set everything on low, and you're ready to rock. I mean, it's pretty. That's basically how it works, and that's how I feel. Do you think that they're ever going to make a shot at more realistic graphics if they have to sacrifice a larger player base?
Nope. I mean, I definitely agree with that. Although, I mean, I don't know. Titan just keeps popping up in my head. I mean, I wonder what they're doing. Like maybe they do something close to Battlefield for Titan. I mean, from what I understand, Battlefield has pretty decent graphics. Very realistic. And I mean, they keep showing the commercials, and then they're like, this is legitimate in-game footage. And I mean, I don't know, it just looks crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, that the thing with Battlefield is that there's a large population of PC gamers that can't play it unless you have. If you have a system more than 3 or 4 years old, you're kind of crap out of luck. Like, there's no way you're going to be able to run Battlefield. So, but WoW, you can run on that old of a system. So. But
then again, I've heard a lot of people complaining. Well, WoW is using very old graphics. Like, we need to update because of I don't know. It all looks the same. I don't know. That's just complaints that I've heard. I'm not a huge WoW fan. I mean, I pretty much just play, like, I'm definitely going to get Mists of Pandaria. I'm definitely going to hit level 85, and then, or 90, sorry, and then I'm definitely going to not play it until the next expansion. I don't know, I just get on, hit max level, and get off, because, I mean, for me, it's like, I don't know, there's no reason for me to keep playing. So, I don't know. I don't really know where I was going with that anyway.
You got a question?
Oh, I guess I should do that too, shouldn't I?
All right, let me grab one then. Another question, basically asking, this is directed at me specifically, asking what my plans are for Diablo once the game comes out. Well, initially I had really been focused on being able to do arena commentary. However, it seems very, very highly unlikely that we will have an observer mode. So actually being able to kind of commentate professional games like I do with StarCraft 2 matches isn't going to really happen. The best I'll be able to do is commentate my own games, and I expect to do that. I would like to do some game guides, but I don't know how much Diablo needs in the sense of game guides. Maybe some hardcore leveling guides and specific runing guides. I guess you can't really say like a talent guide because it's so easy to swap skills, but kind of, showcasing optimal builds. I'm sure I'll do videos and stuff like that. I know Kevin will be working on some stuff as well.
Yep.
But I think he'll be announcing those plans later in the future, so.
Relatively soon, I hope.
Cool. All right.
So I've got a question from Kyle. Say you pre-order the Diablo III Collector's Edition through a local store and you want to pick it up at midnight, but you also want to pre-download it. Would you have to buy both? Actually, I guess I read that question wrong the first time in my head. But, I mean, if you want to download it before you get to the store, then yes, you're going to have to do both, in which case, I guess I don't really see the point of doing that. I mean, did you pick up your copy of StarCraft 2 at the midnight release, Dennis? Or did you just wait for it to get to you?
No, I refuse to leave my house. I download everything online.
Okay. But when you... Okay, that's fine too. But when you downloaded it, the servers didn't open up until like 10 a.m. the next day, though, right?
No. The servers were available,
Right at midnight?
Yeah, because that's when they're available for everyone else. Everyone goes home and downloads, and I think if you do, because what Blizzard lets you do is they let you pre-download it, but you can't play it.
But that's like 10 p.m. or something like that. Yeah, so if you purchase the collector's edition and then pick it up, you'll be able to just pop it in and install it, but you won't be able to pre-download it. Now you can, or you're going to have to put the authentication key on your download account to where you can download it digitally from any time thereafter. But you won't be able to get it beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
That should answer the question.
Right.
I've got another one, at least.
Sure, go ahead.
From Paul, at least from what I understand, he just wants to know whether or not the USB stick is going to have Diablo 2 on it. From what I understand, I guess I could be wrong, but I mean, the answer is just yes. Diablo 2 will be on the sweet looking Diablo head USB stick that comes with Diablo 3 Collector's Edition.
The last part of his question, though, he's asking if it's going to be in full HD. I don't think so.
Oh, that's what he said? Ah, okay. No, Diablo 2. I mean, like, just the game Diablo 2?
Diablo 2 is 800 by 600. That's not full HD.
Yeah.
So
then the answer is no.
Yeah, the answer is no. They will not be in full HD. I don't think they're going back and doing anything to that game. So that's.
Nah, I mean, I'm sure there'll be small little patches here and there. They just released patch 1.14C or something like that within the last month or so, 2 months, couple months. Just relatively recently. But otherwise, I mean, they're not going to do any huge changes like that.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. They're not going to go back and HD. I mean, that'd be a huge announcement if they're like, "Oh, Diablo 2 is now available in HD." I mean, that's they do that with games. I think Metal Gear Solid came out in HD. At least I know one of the Metal Gear games did recently. I can't really think of it though, off the top of my head. All right, one last question. This is a pretty basic one. Someone asking if hardcore and softcore players will be able to play in the same games. Absolutely not. Not going to happen. They're
awesome.
they're separate. They're separate games for hardcore and softcore. You only play with hardcore characters, or you only play with softcore characters. And actually, I'll just we'll wrap up with this here. I did want to make mention of the fact. I know that I got asked, what kind of my plans were when the game comes out. I'll be doing the various coverage and everything like that, but something that I'm really excited to be doing, and I'm going to get into more depth about it in the future, is I think we're going to be doing, I'm not sure the exact setup of it yet, but I know at the very least I will be doing like this hardcore series where I don't know if we're going to try something crazy like world's first hardcore character.
That'd be awesome.
I might have to battle with Athene for that one, or maybe we'll work together. Who knows? But I want to do some sort of hardcore series because I think it'd be hilarious. I mean, everyone and their mother will be doing Let's Plays of Diablo 3 when it comes out, but nobody wants to see that because it's not that interesting. Most people are playing it. But a series of hardcore, I mean, that's intense.
Although keep in mind, you have to complete the game on normal first.
Yeah.
Before you can make a hardcore character.
Yeah. But that'll be what, an afternoon?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I don't think normal will take much more than an afternoon. I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking it's going to be around 2 hours an act initially, because we have about half of Act 1, and it takes about an hour.
It's like a solid 15 hours, dude.
Yeah, it's fine. Gotta do it. All right, well, I guess that's going to do it for this episode of DiabloCast. Once more, I want to let you guys know to be sure to take a look at the VGAs tomorrow, Spike TV, if you want to see Diablo 3's opening cinematic. And again, if you miss it, I guarantee it'll be up on YouTube somewhere. I don't think I'll be uploading it because it'll be everywhere anyways, and nothing special. So no reason for myself to upload it. But you'll be able to see it one way or the other. We'll see if we get a announcement for release date, although it seems highly unlikely. And what are they doing with tooltips? I'm not dumb. Just give me numbers, please.
Yeah, really?
Numbers. Okay.
Like maths.
That's that. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching or listening. However you took in this information. Once again, this has been Dennis for Kevin. We'll see you guys next time.
Take it easy, guys.
Good podcast, Kevin.
Good stuff. I'm loving it.